Yeah, we're back, episode 69, one way from the big episode 70, which we have no plans for right now except to talk about Joe Biden's joint address. And while I am not advocating the use of drugs, it may be better with one. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I don't do that. You should forget what I said, except it might. The thief in chief. Yeah, he is the thief in chief as we are counting down the days of the thief in chief. Yeah, there we go. And they think they're close. Yeah, that's why they're rushing so hard to get everything in. You know, because nobody's ever proposed this many packages this close, wanting them all done by summer. I mean, this is just stupid. He knows how Congress works. Why? They want to get it all in because they know if they can get it all in and get it going, you cannot take all these programs away from people. See, whoever's in next, and whatever you think about the Trump elections and everything else, once you start giving out all this free money, nobody's going to like it if you take it away. And the free, I told you yesterday, they're targeting free. And man, they're doing it. So anyway, you'll find out more tonight in just a little bit. But let's start. Dr. Rachel Levin, the poster child for the Biden regime in all their stupidity and confoundedry. I just made that word up. They think he is a she. Well, what do we have? No music today, but we have this. Tom Pottston. You might remember him from the Newhart show. But he started out, I don't know where he started, but he was on the Steve Allen show. And he was a character who had, he kind of had amnesia or something. And so this is this little clip.
Why? I haven't given up.
Never mind, sir.
You don't have to keep calling me sir.
What else can I call you?
Try madam.
Oh, get out of here. Let's get right to the question.
Except he actually looks like a sir. So does he. But anyway, we don't have to call him sir. We can call him madam. Yeah. Well, some news that will make Dr. Levine smile and not smile. Over 400 major businesses endorse Equality Act, LGBTQ plus civil rights. Which means if they pass that, no one else has any civil rights. See, you need to read the bill. That's why our friend Owen Jensen from Catholic News asked about the religious exemption. No, you won't have rights. See, their civil rights take away everybody else's rights because they already have civil rights as just a person. But see, now they want to give rights to a pretend gender. Do you understand that, people? They want to give rights to a fantasy. You have rights to your fantasy. And everyone has to play along with your fantasy. Yeah, that makes me mad. It should make you irate. They are giving rights to a fantasy. So if he walked into your place of business wearing a Cinderella outfit, prancing with a magic wand, you could not hold that against him in his interview. Say, well, we didn't want Cinderella. He has rights. They would say she. Or if a female walked into your place spitting tobacco juice, dressed as a football player, you could not hold that against them. Do you understand? Say, oh, you're being ridiculous. Am I? You haven't read the bill. Because they could say the only reason I didn't get hired is because I'm a pretty Cinderella. Oh, they didn't hire you because you are a pretty Cinderella. Yes, you are. You say, no, Danny, you're being cruel. No, I'm not. That legislation is horrible. And besides that, if you are a church or a religious organization, if Cinderella, I don't want to say Cindy because that's my wife's name, and then I would think of her differently the rest of our lives together. If Miss Cinderella Fantasy walks in to a church even if he is dressed in a nice suit. Female suit, of course, with matching pumps. And you have a position for church secretary open. Ladies and gentlemen, this is bad. This is bad. And what are you going to explain to your children? No, that's not Cinderella. That's Prince Charming's stupid stepbrother who thinks he is Cinderella. Ladies and gentlemen, because it goes into schools, everything, but oh, no, that's great. They deserve civil rights. They have civil rights as a male and a female. They don't have civil rights as a fantasy. And if Dr. Rachel Levin is your fantasy, you need help. All right. But this will make Dr. Levin unhappy. No big backlash for states passing anti-transgender laws. Businesses aren't moving out. The only place businesses are moving out of is Georgia, because they passed voting laws, not voting rights laws, but voting laws that a lot of states have even tougher that those same businesses are in. So, it's just politics. It's all that. That's all it is. 5 states have passed laws or implemented executive orders this year limiting the ability of transgender youths to play sports or receive certain medical treatment. There's been a vehement outcry from supporters of transgender rights, but little in the way of tangible repercussions for those states. It is in striking contrast to the fate of North Carolina a few years ago, when its legislature passed a bill in March 2016 limiting which public restrooms transgender people could use. There was swift and powerful backlash. The NBA and NCAA relocated venues. Some companies scrapped expansion plans. By March 2017, the bill's bathroom provisions were repealed. So far this year, there's been nothing comparable, not even lawsuits, although activists predict some of the measures eventually will be challenged in court. Because it's not fair for girls not to have competition in their sports. Because boys don't care if girls run against them in track. Unless they're the last place boys. There can be a faster girl, but not than the top boy. Not as a rule. Maybe in your school, but not at state. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to look at reality. Not, maybe you feel like, those poor boys, they're having problems anyway. They wouldn't think they were girls. They'd think they were boys. It's not going to help. You don't give civil rights to a fantasy. Biden picks lesbian vet Gina Ortiz Jones as Air Force Undersecretary. But she is not the history-making lesbian, because that is the Deputy Press Secretary, Jean-Pierre. The last name, can't remember her first name. Anyway, and we'll just keep the picture of the good doc up for this, because I'm sure this makes him unhappy, because he's very pro-abortion. Idaho governor signs bill banning abortions after fetal heartbeat detected. Isn't that interesting to think? They will give a person with strong delusion civil rights to stay on that delusion, but they will not give an unborn child alive in the womb with a heartbeat any rights at all. Doesn't even have the right to exist, but yet the transgender person prancing around or strutting around or dragging around like a tired trucker, depending on which end of the spectrum your transgender fantasy is on, they'll give that fantasy rights, but not the unborn child. In fact, all they do is increase ways to kill the unborn child. Ladies and gentlemen, these are very perverted people. They are very sick individuals, and they want to make your child just as sick and twisted as they are. Yeah. Don't doubt it. You better speak up, because these people, Secular Democrats of America, you can find them online at seculardems.org. That's what they want. They want a sick and twisted, perverted America where your kids aren't safe. They get to choose their religion. They get to choose their sex. They get to choose whatever, and don't think that the teachers won't be guiding those choices. You won't be able to as a parent, but the teacher will. The school counselor will. Because school counselors now, all my school counselor ever helped me with was picking classes. But now they can help decide if your child needs an abortion, if your boy needs to be a girl, if your girl needs to be a boy, or some combination thereof. And even give them information on other religions so they can pick their own way. Yeah, seculardems.org. Send them an email saying, why don't you go to a communist country where you belong? That's right, they've got rights. We don't want to take away their rights. At least their rights aren't a fantasy, just lying most of the time. Now, this is an interesting take on an interesting decision that will be coming soon from the Biden regime to help everybody's health care. As we stated not long ago, they want to ban nicotine in cigarettes and menthol cigarettes altogether to save your health. And again, while I oppose smoking in every form, legal and illegal forms, I don't think they have the right to just decide that. If it's a legal product, leave everybody alone. I think they should set a minimum age to be able to purchase tobacco, as they should alcohol, etc., etc. But, because it's just social engineering, but they're going to have some backlash on the menthol part of it. ACLU warns Biden administration against menthol ban, cites racial justice implications. It is racist to want to ban menthol cigarettes. Let that sink in. Yes, it is racist. The Biden administration is reportedly planning to ban menthol cigarettes in a move that activists say would help Black Americans who are disproportionately harmed by the tobacco industry, but critics claim it will do the opposite. The alleged ban comes as the FDA faces a deadline to respond to a 2013 citizen complaint, citizen petition to act on menthol products, which escalated to a court filing in June 2020. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the tobacco industry has aggressively marketed menthol products to young people and Black Americans and have historically placed larger amounts of advertising in Black publications. Only 7 out of 10 Black youths ages 12 to 17 who reported smoking, not only 7 out of 10, who reported smoking used menthol cigarettes. See, the problem here is we got to work to stop youths ages 12 to 17 from smoking, not just what type of cigarette they smoke. Isn't government just beautiful? I mean, aren't they just so beautifully stupid? Oh, we've got too many kids are smoking menthol cigarettes. Well, why don't we work on them not smoking? Jeez. And Black adults have the highest percentage of menthol cigarette use compared to other racial groups. And see, these people in the Biden regime, they're racist even when they're trying to help people. They can't stop being racist no matter what they do. They're racist. The alleged ban would not take effect immediately, but would set into action FDA policies surrounding menthol cigarettes and other flavored tobacco products. Proponents of the ban believe menthol cigarettes to be a social justice issue, but critics say a ban could lead to an underground market for such products and more opportunity for criminal activity. Well, yeah, you got to get your menthol somewhere. I mean, prohibition. Anytime you outlaw something, it creates crime, right? In a letter sent to Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, the man who knows nothing about human health and services except abortion. Acting FDA Commissioner Janet Woodcock and several other officials, the ACLU, along with dozens of others, including the Drug Policy Alliance, said while such a ban, no doubt well-intentioned, it would have serious racial justice implications. Such a ban will trigger criminal penalties. Now, they're calling black people crooks, potential crooks. I mean, really, ladies and gentlemen, that's what they're saying. If black people can't get their menthol cigarettes, they're going to sell them illegally. So next to the meth lab will be the menthol lab. Yes. Such a ban will trigger criminal penalties, which will disproportionately impact people of color, as well as prioritize criminalization over public health and harm reduction. The letter stated a ban will also lead to unconstitutional policing and other negative interactions with local law enforcement. And we're trying to cut those interactions down, and those silly Biden people are trying to raise them. The letter referenced the recent police-involved deaths of George Floyd, Daunte Wright, Ma'Khia Bryant, and Eric Garner. I mean, it's just enough to turn your stomach some days. Every day. What's wrong with these people? A number of police encounters resulting in tragic deaths are linked to police enforcement of tobacco laws. And they are. Eric Garner, killed by a police chokehold, was illegally selling Lucy cigarettes, and Michael Brown was killed after being suspected of stealing a box of cigarillos. The letter stated, even in the case of George Floyd, police were called to investigate a counterfeit bill used to purchase cigarettes. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We can cut down all police interactions with blacks if blacks would stop smoking. Or maybe the government could just give them cigarettes and tobacco products, and then they could have it shipped to their stores, to their homes from the store, and not have to go out in public to get it. And police wouldn't be able to pick them off while they're walking into the store. I know, it's totally ridiculous, but so is this. Do you see what they're doing? They're working every chance they get to change narratives, to flip the reality, to make it all about just victimhood. Michael Brown was killed because he wouldn't stop moving toward the police, the poor policeman. And he didn't just steal the cigarettes, he wrecked the store. And didn't know he was going to get off on all this today, but it's just crazy. It's crazy. This is the reality. Do you realize in North Carolina, there is conflicting reports on the video. They haven't released it yet of the shooting of the man that, was running from police who were trying to arrest him. Said he was trying to run over officers with his car. The attorneys for the family say, no, he wasn't. And the DA's like, yes, he was. He'd already hit him twice. How are we ever going to have communication? How are we ever going to talk things out and get on the same playing field if we can't be honest? And no, nobody should be killed over selling cigarettes, but my goodness, if the police come to arrest you, please let them. White, black, brown. Why don't we just shut down? Oh yeah, we can't shut down the tobacco industry since it's luring black men and women to their deaths, because then they would sell it illegally and they'd go to prison for it. Obviously, we white people wouldn't do it and we wouldn't go to prison for it. I don't know. See, I can't follow it anymore because it's so asinine. The letter called for an approach that would avoid solutions that will create yet another reason for armed police to engage citizens on the street based upon the pretext or conduct that does not pose a threat to public safety. And you know, it doesn't. If they want to smoke menthol cigarettes, whoever wants to. I remember Cool and Salem, weren't they menthol? Yeah, you know, when I was a kid, they had all those cigarette commercials on TV, and they were always the best commercials. What was it? Cool or Salem? You know, out on the sailboat. I wanted to smoke them. I didn't, though. No. I'd be dead if I smoked. My mom and dad would have killed me. Me and my brother did for a while. He did for a long while, but he doesn't any longer. I did for a while as a teenager. Thought it made me bad. Just made me smell bad. It is not confirmed what the punishment would be for illegally obtaining menthol products under the proposed ban, but the letter called for an approach that avoids criminalization. Our experience with alcohol, opioid, and cannabis prohibition teaches us that it is a policy disaster waiting to happen, with Black and other communities of color bearing the brunt. So if you make it illegal, they have to sell it. I'm sure there's some kind of logic in that argument somewhere, but I'm missing it, and I don't mean that to sound racist. It's just, I don't know. It's just, all right, we're going to move into something else. Take it, Johnny. Yeah, we're going to take it to COVID news. Having reactions from the COVID-19 vaccine, it could mean that you already had the virus. And so you have antibodies in you, and you probably don't need the vaccine. They don't go on and say that, but if you're having reactions, it's just a sign that you maybe had it. So, why do you need the vaccine? Nobody knows. Pacific Northwest facing shutdowns amid rising virus cases. When the coronavirus pandemic hit the Pacific Northwest, states of Oregon and Washington, their governors quickly reacted with shutdowns. Now they are about to impose new restrictions again as infections and hospitalizations rise to alarming levels. Major cities in Oregon, you can't eat inside any longer, I believe. Step number 1. Why don't they just make everybody I'd rather you order me to get a vaccine than close things down again. I don't know. We're just not going to get past it, are we, ladies and gentlemen? We're just not going to get past it. And we should have had this with the cigarette story, but we set it up wrong. This is interesting from the fact that it's in the news. And this sheriff tells parents police are not responsible to raise your kid amid outrage over young people dying during police interactions. Well, let's see what he has to say. I'm sure he will be out of office by next year. Wait a minute. Is that all we have of this? That's not right. Here we go. Is this right? Yeah. We got Rudy in the wrong place. A Texas sheriff told parents that police officers are not responsible to raise your kid amid outrage over the police-involved shooting of a 16-year-old girl in Ohio and other instances of young people dying during interactions with law enforcement. It's not the job of the officer to raise your kid. Parents need to take responsibility for the actions of their failure to raise their child to be respectful. Oh, this man has some nerve. How can he still be in a public position, responsible, and listen to authority figures? Little tip, sometimes your kid is wrong and needs to be disciplined, jumping on teachers, coaches, etc. All their life gives the kids a feeling that they can do no wrong and they do not have to comply with authority figures. Parents need to be parents to their kids and not their best friends. Throckmorton County Sheriff Doc Wingington wrote on Face Wigginton book Friday. And since he's from Throckmorton County, he ain't going nowhere. Good folks there aren't going to vote old Doc out of office. So, 2, 3, 4. He also addressed so-called solutions floated by the public on how police could de-escalate violent situations without killing the suspect. Yep, why not? Shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the arm. Make sure you grab the taser. Where are we on this? In the news cycle over the last few weeks have been stories of young people being shot by police in some type of altercation or another. Wigginton wrote, the public is quick to jump on the officers involved, stating a need for more training, better de-escalation tactics, and possibly shooting the suspect in the leg. Well, yeah, makes sense. Go for the leg. Never mind, there are jugular veins in the, arteries in the leg. Let me address these so-called solutions. First, this is not the Old West movies, and a leg wound is just as serious as a shot to center mass. When the use of deadly force is warranted, that is exactly what it is, deadly force. His emphasis, not mine. Not flesh wound force or any other words to describe it, just deadly force. Officers have to make decisions of life and death in a matter of seconds that attorneys, judges, and the general public can debate for years and possibly forever. It's easy to post an opinion on social media as to how I would have handled it. Yeah, he's got a point, ladies and gentlemen, but one that we won't allow. Instead of armchair quarterbacks, we now have armchair police. If a person thinks they can handle the situation differently, I encourage them to join an academy and become an officer, he continued. And yet, I saw an article just last week that Los Angeles and other large police departments are having a problem getting minorities to be cops. That means there's going to be more white people being cops. They're setting it up. Yeah, they're turning them away. I bet discouraging them because all police departments secretly want to be white so everybody can just go out and kill minorities. That's the way it works. All right, we've got a lot. Why aren't you working for me? We've got a lot of Biden news today. It's going to do a Petticoat Junction, but the video won't come up. Just not nice to me. Biden to propose free preschool as speech details emerge. And this is really the smallest part of it, but it gets a lot of the attention. There are so many aspects to what he is going to tout. And that's, we still haven't got into the hard work on the American Jobs Plan, but the American Family Plan, it is a 1-2 punch. Over $5 trillion of spending on top of the $2 trillion for the American Rescue Plan. It's just really a lot. That's not what we want. Let's go ahead. We've seen this picture before. All right, they updated my program the other day, and it has not worked properly since. So they're doing another update this weekend. Hopefully then it will be okay. All right. President Joe Biden will now call for free preschool for all 3 and 4-year-old children. A $200 billion investment to be rolled out as part of his Sweeping America Families Plan being unveiled Wednesday in an address to Congress. That's tonight. The administration said the historic investment would benefit 5 million children and save the average family $13,000. No child care. It calls for providing federal funds to help the states offer preschool with teachers and other employees earning $15 an hour or more. The teachers will be paid commensurate with kindergarten teachers. These investments will give American children a head start and pave the way for the best educated generation in U.S. history, the administration said. And perhaps so if they were actually going to receive an education, not indoctrination. And this will be for all income levels, unlike Head Start that cuts off at certain income levels. So this is part of the problem. How do you know that? Because I read the... what do they call it? Anyway, their call-in with reporters where they can't use administration officials' names that are talking to them. They can't report the name that is telling them the information, the background call. They can only say a senior administration official. They can't say who was giving them the information. It's printed out on the White House website. You can look it up. You can read it. But you don't know who the administration official is talking. And the reporters can never tell. Isn't that weird? What does it matter? There are so many things that make zero sense. The new details are part of Biden's $1 trillion plus package. It's $2 trillion, probably more than that. An ambitious next phase of his massive infrastructure investment program. This one focused on so-called human infrastructure, child care, health care, education, and other core aspects of the household architecture that undergird everyday life for countless Americans. Unless you're rich. No, it's going to change your life too. Trust me. Together with Biden's American Jobs Plan and $2.3 trillion infrastructure, $3.3 trillion investment to be funded by a corporate tax hike. It's not going to cover it. They add up to a whopping $4 trillion effort to fulfill his campaign vow to build back better, to give free things away, and to bankrupt the country through overtaxing the rich and overspending. But that's just me. May not be your take on it. All right? Because the 5-letter word free, it's just 4. I took American math, non-racist math, so it can be 5. Racist math says free is a 4-letter word, which is not to the Democrats because they're pushing it over and over. Together with Biden's, $4 trillion effort to fulfill his campaign vow to ruin the country, the American Families Plan would be paid for by hiking taxes on the wealthiest 1% of Americans, in keeping with the president's vow not to raise taxes on those making less than $400,000 a year. And if you really get into it, it takes forever to pay for it. It never quite fully covers it, and the plan takes forever to enact. It's just social engineering, ladies and gentlemen. It is setting those who make $100,000 or less, they say $400,000, but they're going to start hitting them, setting them against the wealthy, and it's just so obvious. Ahead of Wednesday's speech, lawmakers have been pushing to make sure key priorities are included. And Bernie Sanders is saying he will make sure a Medicare expansion's in there. So from 65 to 62 or something there. A group of leading centrist and progressive Democrats met late Tuesday with the White House to discuss its priority of making permanent the child tax credit, which was increased to as much as $300 a month as part of a COVID-19 relief package. Right now, that benefit expires in 2022. Biden has suggested extending it to 2025. Well, they are taking the limits almost of all income tax credits, calling them tax cuts. It's not a tax cut. If it's a credit, it's a tax gift. Huge difference. We're hopeful, said Senator Sherwood Brown, Democrat, Ohio, the chairman of the Banking Committee and advocate for a permanent child tax credit. We want it to be permanent because it's so important for many people's lives. Nobody's even got it yet. You know, you just don't understand what's the sense of it. Why even try sometimes, you know? Why even try sometimes? House Speaker Nancy Pelosi appears to have secured one of her top priorities for Democrats, lowering the cost of buying health care insurance under the Affordable Care Act. Biden's plan is expected to extend the enhanced health insurance subsidies that have been approved as part of the COVID-19 relief, rather than allowing them to expire in 2022, according to a Democratic aide granted anonymity to discuss private conversations. Unlike White House senior officials who are on the phone with reporters and still can't be named. But another key priority of Pelosi and Democrats, lowering prescription drug costs, is not expected to be in the package, the aide said. Also unlikely to make the final draft is a push from progressives led by Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont to reduce the Medicare eligibility age, which is now set at 65, and expand Medicare's benefits to include access to dental, vision, and hearing aid care for seniors. Well, why not? Why not? Come out wherever you are. Sanders vowed Tuesday to add those provisions once Congress begins, drafting the legislation. The bill that we're going to be writing will include negotiations with pharmaceutical industry to lower drug prices, raising substantial sums of money and using that to expand Medicare, senators said at the Capitol. President's speech and the rollout of the American Families Plan comes as Biden is marking his first 100 days in the White House, a rare moment for congressional action. Democrats narrowly control the House and Senate, giving the president's party the full sweep of power for the first time in a decade. While Biden is determined to reach out for bipartisanship, Republicans in Congress have largely painted the proposals as big government spending and vow to oppose them. In fact, I saw one article where Biden is blaming the Republicans for the lack of bipartisanship because they won't go along with him. Yeah, that's what negotiations are. You know, do what I want. It's the way Obama did it. All right, the White House has portrayed its plan as a Robin Hood-style effort to tax the rich in order to spend on benefits for the middle class and poor. It's an argument that the hundreds of billions of dollars controlled by the wealthiest sliver of the country would lead to better results for the country if they were distributed instead to families. In other words, you have too much. It's only fair if we take some of it and give it to others who don't have. Yep. And if you don't have, you're like, yeah, it's not fair. You got all that. You got more money than I have. You should give me some. Not going to give it. The government's going to take it there. In addition to free preschool, the American Families Plan would extend an expanded child tax credit through 2025, giving parents monthly payments of at least $250 per child. Plan would also provide free community college and paid family leave, among other benefits, getting up eventually to 12 weeks of paid family leave of $4,000 a month, so that we match our competitor countries. Like, you're going to leave this country and go to their country for the family leave. Competitor countries. Yes, we have to have the same benefits as competitor countries. 12 weeks of leave. Well, it's going to have to be government backed because your average company can't do that. 12 weeks. I mean, that's going to cause problems just because you got to hire somebody temporarily and let them go. Then you have to pay unemployment to them, which they also want to redo unemployment. I mean, it doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. Funding the initiative would be a tax increase on the extremely rich, most notably a near doubling of the capital gains tax rate, and so much more. On the doubling of the capital gains tax rate on incomes above 1 million to 39.6. Similarly, the top income tax bracket for those households earning beyond 400,000 is expected to revert to 39.6. That's what it was before Trump gave them a very small tax cut. According to a Democratic aide granted, again, anonymity to discuss the planning, that had been the top rate before the 2017 GOP tax overhaul approved by Donald Trump. And, so that gave the average couple that made $1 million or more $36,000 extra a year. That's not fair. That's not fair for them to get extra money, and they already have $1 million. Come on, they're making that. That should belong to you if you're making under $1 million. Brian Deese, director of the White House, the White House National Economic Council, said revenue from the capital gains tax would help invest directly in our kids and our families and our future economic competitiveness. Republican leaders have said they are unwilling to undo the 2017 tax law, their signature achievement of the Trump presidency, to pay for what they view as big spending by Democrats. And there is so much more on this. I mean, there are so many, free community college, expanded health care, all kinds of tax credits extended and expended, and it's a lot. It is a lot, ladies and gentlemen, and you will hear more about it tonight. There's something else I wanted to remember that was in it, but I can't. One loophole that I think it's good that they want to close, and that's the carry interest, which mainly affects hedge fund managers who can use that to basically make tax-free income. And that Donald Trump campaigned on doing that, but never got anywhere. Of course, Biden doesn't want to take off the state and local tax deduction cap of $10,000, even though many Congress people and senators from those states that are so affected want it removed so they can deduct that. But they say, you got to come up with some money somewhere. Oh, there was something else. Oh, and also, that $400,000 is per household. So there is a marriage penalty there. If you are single, your tax rate will only go up at $400,000. But if you are married, it's according to the household. And they also, just to get everybody included, they want to expand the earned income tax credit for, low income earning citizens that don't have children. So, they want to bring you into, and also dreamers will be eligible for the free community college, etc., etc. I mean, and if the state governments won't go along, they will deal directly with local governments, which seems overreach into local government. All right, do we have time for all? Oh, yeah, I guess we do. All right, so now we're going to go from that to remind you, I've been wanting to do this for a while, to remind you of what is exactly in Biden's infrastructure plan, which you have by now probably forgotten most of it. Biden's infrastructure plan visualized how the $2.3 trillion will be allocated. So we're going to visualize it together, and it's really $3 trillion. The president's plan covers infrastructure improvements, climate change, and manufacturing, and healthcare, personal caregivers. I guess they're healthcare workers, but home health aides, etc. Breakdown of Biden's infrastructure plan. Electric vehicles, 174 of the $3 trillion goes there. Home and community-based care for disabled and elderly, $400 billion. Transportation, $620 billion. And remember, and they talked about the 100 worst bridges and everything. No, it's not set where the money for roads and bridges will go. States have to put in their best proposals. And so, who knows? Who knows? Manufacturing, 300 billion, job creation and innovation, 280 billion, utilities, 266 billion, which that would also, part of that would be part of the infrastructure states would bid on for their electrical grids, etc., etc. Buildings, 286 billion. That's insulating and covering them with climate helping materials. Yes. Education, 137 billion. Oh, and we'll have to do that. Maybe we can do that tomorrow, Friday. A former Obama. Did we do that yesterday? Obama scientist. Good article on climate change. I don't think we did that yesterday. So maybe we'll be able to do that Friday. All right. President Biden unveiled a $2.3 trillion plan a few weeks ago aimed at boosting the nation's infrastructure, creating new jobs, and tackling climate change. It is the first of a two-part economic plan that the president will introduce in Congress tonight. So it's a good time to remind you of this today. It's still on the table and, hadn't gone anywhere. Here is a breakdown of where the money will be spent. And they're already talking about doing it through budget reconciliation, which means they can just pretty much put it through. This is what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Just over $620 billion in transportation spending would go toward upgrading roads, bridges, and other parts of the nation's infrastructure. Consumers would be offered tax incentives to buy electric vehicles as part of a $174 billion investment in the industry. The plan also includes building a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations by 2030. When we were on the road Monday, we went through the medium-sized small town of Childress, Texas, and a local convenience store gas station there had a whole row of charging stations. The market's already installing these. States are installing them. I don't know why we have to do this, but we do. All right, electric vehicles be $124 billion. Bridges, highways, and roads, $115 billion. $115 billion out of $3 trillion. Yeah. Public transit, $85 billion. Most of that is to change them over to biofuels or electric. Passenger and freight trains, $80 billion. Disaster safeguarding, $50. Other, $34. Airports, $25. So that is, it's just dizzying, isn't it? Yeah, where are we at? Right here. This right? No, we've already done that. Okay. So, here we go. Airport upgrades or other. I always like the other. $34 billion. Airport upgrades, $25 billion. Road safety, $20 billion. I don't know why that's not in the upgrade. Access for disadvantaged communities, $20 billion. Waterways and coastal ports, $17 billion. A lot of B's, isn't it? Just keep going. It's just a fun little list, isn't it? Yeah, we just, waterway, oh yeah. Beyond infrastructure, the plan dedicates $300 billion for manufacturing, including disaster resilience and bolstering domestic production of semiconductors and supporting domestic manufacturers. So that, hey, can't go wrong there. Domestic manufacturing, $52 billion. Semiconductors, $50 billion. And we are in a chip shortage. But why companies here aren't just making them, I don't know. Probably because all of our regulations boost the cost of it where they wouldn't make any money. Why not build a plant in Guatemala, ladies and gentlemen? Honduras, El Salvador. Even though it's taking American jobs away, it would help, I guess, according to the Biden regime's plans. monitoring domestic industrial capacity. We're going to pay $50 to monitor domestic industrial capacity. $50 billion. I'd like to have that job. Clean energy, $46 billion. Small businesses get $31 billion. Pandemic preparedness, $30 billion, which should have been in the American Rescue Plan, and I believe that it is. Regional innovation hubs. Investment in NIST, National Institute of, I don't know, Rural Community Partnerships, $5 billion. The plan also includes hundreds of billions of dollars in investments in workforce development and research and development. The White House is requesting $50 billion for the National Science Foundation, guess that would be it, to focus on semiconductor research and development. The White House is requesting $50 billion for the nation's Science Foundation to focus on semiconductor and advanced computing research. National Science Foundation, $50 billion. Workforce development, $48. Research infrastructure, all amounts are billions, $40. Worker rehabilitation programs, $40. Climate technology, $35. Innovation and job creation, $30. Research at historically black colleges and universities, $25 billion. And to underserved communities, $12 billion. You know, it's just, hey, why not? Why not? I like it all. Well, I don't know why we're not spending more. Maybe I'm turning into a progressive. There's no sense of having any money left. We already don't have the money. Why don't we double the taxes on the rich? Come on. Triple the taxes on the corporations. Water rehabilitation programs, $40. Climate technology, $35. Innovation and job creation, $30. The underserved communities, $12. We did all that. Proposal includes $40 billion to retrofit existing public housing to address energy saving efficiency as part of a $213 billion investment to create more affordable housing options. Yeah, you're going to build cheap houses, I guess. About $111 billion is geared toward water infrastructure with the goal of replacing all the lead pipes in the country. An additional $100 billion would go toward expanding broadband access, especially in rural areas. And it's not clear if that would be the lead pipes in your house or just public buildings and the pipes leading up to your house. So we don't know these things. It's all just, and again, that's communities will bid on that and they'll pick projects, etc. The White House also wants to put $100 billion toward upgrading and building new public schools, in addition to $12 billion for infrastructure upgrades to community colleges, which they'll need because everybody will be able to go for free. Affordable housing, $213 billion. High-speed broadband, $100 billion, which the broadband providers are not real happy with. Improved power grid infrastructure, $100 billion, which again will be bid on, so it's not guaranteed. Improved water system safety. Remove lead pipes, $45 billion. Water system safety, $66 billion. Upgrade veteran hospitals, $18 billion. Modernize and improve federal buildings, $10 billion. Okay, and it doesn't break down in this particular article so that would be employee training or whatever, the help to personal caregivers. So there you have it. So now going into tonight's massive spending plan, you have this massive spending plan to kind of balance it out. And, you know, do you realize that by September of this year, they could not, including the yearly budget. This has nothing to do with what will at least be a $1 trillion yearly budget. And all the other spending that we're doing. Do you realize that would be at least $5 trillion additional dollars added in for, and again, this is over what the American Jobs plan is over 4 years, but it takes like over 10 years to pay for, something like that. And over 8 years, and this will be over 10 years, and it takes 15 years to pay for. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. It's just, whoever heard of all this money? Well, we're going to leave that and go where? Going down to the border just a little bit. We do have some border news. First of all, I think Harris County Sheriff Biden nominates Texas Sheriff Ed Gonzalez to head ICE of Harris County. That's where Houston is. Yeah, so he probably knows a thing or two about it. Of course, they were very liberal, and they didn't want ICE in their county jails. Border shock. 18-wheelers unloading migrants and drugs, and cartels are having a field day. Sounds fun. Mexican crime cartels, never seen the U.S. border so inviting as it has been under President Pretend Joe Biden, are openly driving to the border with tractor trailers full of illegal immigrants and drugs to unload their cargo, according to a new report. For the first time, 18-wheelers are stopping at the Rio Grande to dump their cargo in the poorly defended Big Bend areas of West Texas as cartels shop for new crossing points. It just never. I got to get that clip. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Step inside, step inside. It's never been this busy, one agent told Todd Binsman of the Center for Immigration Studies. He has been on the border charting the impact of Biden's border opening policies, dubbed La Invitation by illegal immigrants. The invitation. It's always funnier when I read it out loud. Binsman wrote in a new report, 18-wheeler, tractor-trailer rigs and trucks of all sizes now pull right up to the river in unending succession to unload people and drug cargo in broad daylight along the empty stretches of riverside territory. Police chases of immigrant transport vehicles are now commonplace in towns further inland for the first time, and Border Patrol agents, largely unreinforced despite new circumstances, are chasing groups through the desert day and night, losing most and strained beyond capacity to impact what's happening, they say. Yeah, it's pulling up. 18-wheeler. Letting out the drugs and the and the poor migrants. The agent, only identified as 10-year veteran, told Binsman, "I've never seen 18-wheelers out on the levee of the Mexican side like this, filled with only God knows what. It was predicted before the new administration came in, and it happened. Now the cartels are having a field day." A key point in Binsman's new report is how cartels are shopping for new opening points cleared as the Border Patrol shifts agents to areas overwhelmed by illegal immigrants by Biden's open borders move. Biden says they're not open borders, but remember, on the south of the border, it's been called La Invitation, the invitation. And I don't have the Rod Ruddy, come on down. I am grossly unprepared for that moment, aren't I? Come on down. The invitation. You just gotta love it. ICE. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, to cut arrests of violent criminal aliens 50%. Yeah, just gonna let them stay. We like them here. We have a shortage of violent criminals. We need more. Let's keep them. Danny, you're just not being nice. Those people shouldn't have to go back home. All right. Hey, I'm just saying. Why not? Never have enough violent crime around here, you know? Always can have a little bit more. It's God formation time. I have a little bit for you. And then remember, you've got to watch the speech tonight. So we're on the same, but you don't have to. I'll tell you what giveaways he's giving. I'm telling you, it's on you can go to whitehouse.gov and look at all. I mean, it's just dizzying, all the things. All right, behind the scenes. Trying to write this better. There's a lot of arguing behind the scenes over the speech, which by now is obviously set. Some are saying that they are pulling too much too fast, pushing too much too fast. Others are wanting more, including the senators in the Democratic Party. The administration already has so many factions and disagreements that there is little trust between each. It is all about power, and that is being held tightly by Susan Rice, Jacob Sullivan, and Mr. Klain. Biden, I can't remember his first name, Biden's chief of staff. And so they're the major policy makers. Pelosi has given them what is acceptable and not, as has Schumer, but he is less important to him. Pelosi is important, but the regime works for the unseen people. Not you and I, not the little people, but the people behind the scenes that put them in. They have bigger agendas than what can be seen, and all that you can see is a smokescreen to hide what they are really doing and their true goals. So that should scare you, because the smoke screens are scary enough. Israel has called, and they haven't been treated very nice, but they not getting any help. Israel has their delegation here wanting to curb the negotiations with the Iranians. Nope. The Palestinians will be welcomed in soon. They are planning a visit. Since Trump never visited with them, they're wanting to make that up. June 1st. A lot of talk about June 1st. Susan Rice wants a lot of things taken care of by June 1st. They want to know on the American Jobs Plan by June 1st. Hopefully they won't be wanting to know on the American Family Plan by June 1st. June 1st is an important day to them. I'm not sure why, but it is. And so there's a lot of things they want done by then. Maybe they just want to take a vacation. Who knows? They've got some serious plans, ladies and gentlemen. You can still make your voice heard. Call the White House, call your congressman, your representative, your senator, call your state reps, call your local, call everybody, call the news agencies. Pray for the USA. We need it. I'm telling you, they are going to win so many people over by free. Do you know why most Americans support the American Jobs Plan? The so-called infrastructure that's not really an infrastructure bill, because the average American doesn't have to pay for it. Corporations do. Of course, nobody understands that corporations pass those costs on to us, or they move away, they cut back jobs, they do many things. As we can show you quickly, I don't have time for the article. I had it ready. But it's so long. Corporate America tears down Biden's infrastructure plan. They don't like it. I may never have time to share that article with you. Well, there was no press conference, wasn't a lot of video. We did have a video of Vice President Harris meeting with community leaders in Guatemala, because, hey, we're not going to deal with governments. We're going to go directly to the people. We're going to corrupt them with our millions and billions. Going to pay people, I guess, to stay there. I don't know. It's just the Biden regime's plan of life and liberty and debt and all this. But, all this spending we do. Do you realize every dollar spent on Giving someone free preschool returns us $7 later. Maybe let's bring in people from other countries to go to preschool for free. Which hey, if you're going to have it, I never understood how come Head Start gets to go and others don't. But bring in everybody, so that'll give us $7 per person back. Oh yeah, we're doing that. Lots of kids. Dreamers get to go to the free preschool, everything. I'm sure, well, all kids get to go to school, so that doesn't even matter. Are you going to work yet? No, all right. No Petticoat Junction today. I don't know why it doesn't work. But that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the speech tonight. Check back tomorrow for episode 70. We might have something special. You never know. Pray for America. God bless America. And pray for one another. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Oh, thanks for watching.